Let me clarify about redirect result in ASP.NET MVC 5. This class object represents redirection from an action method to another website. It sends HTTP 302 response to the browser, so the browser sends another request to this specific URL. The redirect method creates and returns an object of RedirectResult class. For example, your company has two websites, and from the first website you want to redirect to the second website. In that case, you have to use the RedirectResult class. The return redirect statement will create and return an object of RedirectResult class so that you are able to redirect from one website to other website. Let's understand this graphically. First, browser is sending a request 1 to the server. Then the server is providing 302 redirect result as a response back to the browser. And then the browser is immediately making another request to the server. So that will be the request to another website. And that website provides 200 OK response back to the browser. So finally the web page is visible on the screen. This is about RedirectResult class. Suppose our requirement is based on the employee ID that we have received in this action method, we have to transfer the request to the corresponding employee Facebook page. For example, the URL is look like this: www.facebook.com/emp1. Here emp1 is an employee ID. So let's prepare the string. FB URL is equal to the full address is required, that is http www.facebook.com/ the employee ID, that is employee ID 1 or 2 or whatever we are going to concatenate. So for example, employee ID is 1, so the URL will be facebook.com/emp1. We are going to redirect to this particular URL. Since this Facebook is a different website, which is not a part of our existing web application, we have to use redirection. So instead of returning a view, we have to say redirect of the corresponding URL, that is FB URL, which we have concatenated above. So let's execute this application. Suppose I want to see the Facebook URL of employee 1. So we have entered the URL as emp Facebook page $emp ID is equal to 1. So it is going to call the emp Facebook page action method of the home controller and pass this emp ID 1 as argument to this variable. So we can see the value received here. Then the URL will be facebook.com/emp1. To that URL we are going to redirect. As you can see, facebook.com/emp1. Since it is not a real URL, we cannot see the valid content in Facebook, but anyway the redirection happens, right? So this is how the redirect result works. Sometimes you want to check the condition depending on the requirement, then only we have to return the corresponding view. For example, if the emp ID is wrong, we don't want to redirect. We are allowing only the 3 employees. First, we have declared a variable called FBURL is equal to null. So we are checking finally if FBURL is equal to null. That means if the employee ID is not matching, we are going to return the content result saying that invalid emp ID. Else we are going to return the FBURL redirection itself. So we have a list of employees. We are going through each and every record in the employees array. And if the employee ID is matching, then we are preparing the FBURL. If it is equal to null, that means if the employee ID is not matching, then we are going to return the invalid emp ID. Otherwise, redirect to the FBURL. Let's execute this application. home/emp Facebook page. emp ID is equal to 4, which is not exist in our case. So as the FB URL is null, we are going to return the content invalid emp ID. So this is the benefit of action result really. Depending on the requirement or situation, we want to return the content result sometimes, or redirect result sometimes, or some other type of action result sometimes. If you mention the file result as a return type here, we must return only the file. If you mention the redirect result here, we must return only the redirection. But if you mention action result, depending on the condition or requirement, we can return any type of result. That's why it is always suggestible to specify the action result as a return type.